Over the years, there have been millions of reported UFO sightings that are thought to be of alien origin, but a lot of these have been ruled out as hoaxes or misinterpretations, and since most witnesses cannot see any occupants, there is no real evidence that they do belong to aliens. But then there are people who report that they have witnessed first-hand extraterrestrial beings, and that's when things get interesting. Now, most of you probably know of the case involving Dr. Hopkins, which I talked about in my 5 strongest signs of alien life video. He was apparently visited by a man dressed in black who he is confident was an alien in disguise. But Dr. Hopkins isn't the only person who believes to have seen or been confronted by an extraterrestrial being. There are plenty of stories out there, and here are 5 of the most interesting and compelling of all time. Mr. Zanfretta. Mr. Zanfretta was working as a private guard between 1978 and 1981, and during his time he believes he had many encounters with alien beings. But his most famous story took place on the 6th of December 1978 when he was working in Torriglia, Italy. Just after midnight, he was patrolling the area in his car when all of a sudden it stopped dead in the road. As soon as this happened, he could see 4 strange lights moving in the back of a nearby garden. He walked over to investigate, thinking it was burglars, and felt something touch him from behind. He turned around and saw what he described as an enormous green, ugly and frightful creature with wavy skin that was no less than 10 feet tall. He bolted away and could see an enormous bright light behind him. He shielded himself from the blinding light and intense heat as his craft rose from behind a house and disappeared into the night sky. Zanfretta carried on running, made it back to his patrol car and attempted to call his security company. He told them what he had saw, and shortly after the call disconnected, so the radio operator called the chief of the security service. About an hour after the phone call, 2 patrolmen found Zanfretta lying on the ground outside of a house, not far from his broken down car. Apparently, when he spotted them walking over, he jumped up with his gun at the ready. He seemed disorientated, his eyes were bulging from their sockets, and he did not lower his weapon when ordered to. He was quickly disarmed, and the security guards reported that his clothes and head were an unusual high temperature for a rainy December night. He was taken away to a safe place and started recalling what had happened. Not long after, the Italian military police opened an investigation, and during their searches of the area, they found 2 clear imprints in the ground, believed to be caused by the craft. Just 3 nights after his encounter, Zanfretta was back at work and reported over his radio that his patrol car was acting up again, but this time it seemed to be driving itself. A few hours later, he was found in a field near the road, crying and saying, "They say I must leave with them. What about my children? I don't want to, I don't want to." The police were called and footprints were found around his abandoned car, and the police also found Zanfretta's gun that had been fired several times, but when asked, he could not remember firing the weapon. The commandant of the security company has said that he is confident everything Zanfretta has told is the truth, and a report of the incidents was even sent to the magistrate's court in Genoa. Zanfretta later recalled under hypnosis that it was more than just an encounter and that he was tested on and examined by the creatures. Man tried stabbing an alien. Although this one may sound a little wacky to some, it's interesting and has never been confirmed as a hoax. It's the story of Gustavo Gonzalez, a Cuban businessman, and his assistant Jose, who were driving along Buena Vista Street on the 29th of November 1954, just after midnight. They could see something illuminating the road up ahead. It was a metallic sphere that was about 2 to 4 meters in diameter and was hovering motionless half a meter above the road. It had 2 windows on the side, a domed top and a small entrance opening. They walked towards it and Gustavo said a small 1 meter tall alien-like creature came towards him. He kept walking towards it and apparently grabbed it in an attempt to take it to his vehicle. He said the alien was very strong and broke away from him and headed back to the craft. Then 2 other small aliens apparently came out from nearby, and one was holding a long shiny flashlight that blasted Gustavo in the face, causing him temporary blindness. Gustavo said he grabbed his scout knife and one of the aliens started approaching, so he stabbed it in the shoulder, but its skin was like armor and the knife just slid off. Then they seen an alien hurrying into the craft with handfuls of dirt, and another emerged with a shiny tube that it pointed at the men. They both felt a vibration that paralyzed them, and the ship took off silently into the night. They rushed to the nearby traffic office and told the officer, who later confirmed that the men seemed to be telling the truth, and many friends and business associates said that the men are hard-working people who would not lie about their experience. Many people nearby have also witnessed a similar craft described by the two men, and more than one local said they felt and heard an explosion at around the same time the two men were shot with the alien weapon. The pair later described exactly what the creature looked like. They had round heads with no ears, noses, or visible mouths. They had large, shiny eyes, and they were partially naked apart from some sort of cloth around them. So that is the story of the two men who believe they had an encounter with aliens that night. For some it sounds like a humorous hoax, and for others it's a strong sign aliens have visited our planet. President Eisenhower has a meeting with aliens. It seems a lot of these alien encounters are pretty scary, but what if an alien encounter was conducted under a planned, controlled setting? Well, there are lots of people who believe former American President Dwight D. Eisenhower had 3 secret meetings with extraterrestrial beings. And since Obama's former advisor John Podesta recently tweeted that his biggest regret was not securing the disclosure of UFOs, many believe the government definitely knows something that we don't, and that it is possible Eisenhower did meet with aliens back in the 1950s. Although some say he met with them on 3 separate occasions, his believed meet in February 1954 is the most documented and talked about. Eisenhower was taking a vacation in Palm Springs, California, when he apparently took a trip to the Edwards Air Force Base to meet or view the bodies of aliens. Although we cannot prove this is true, we know that Eisenhower did go on vacation in February to Palm Springs, and did go missing on one of those days. When the press found out he wasn't where he should have been, people were saying he had been killed or was very ill, and it was only after he turned up at church the next morning that the press knew he was okay. When questioned, the White House press secretary James Haggerty held an evening press conference and said that the president had been enjoying fried chicken earlier that evening and had knocked a cap off a tooth, so had to be taken to a local dentist for treatment. But many have said that this dentist story is just a cover-up for his extraterrestrial meetings, and have pointed out that Eisenhower had only just come back from a vacation less than a week ago. Apparently, in the list of records relating to the president's health, there is also no record of any dental work being carried out in February 1954. If you believe this story, what do you think he would have discussed with them? This next encounter happened to a police officer called Lonnie Zamora on April 24, 1964. He was chasing a teenager who was speeding along a road, but during the chase, Zamora heard a loud roar and could see a strange flame in the sky around half a mile away. His first instinct was that it was an explosion from the nearby dynamite shack, so he abandoned the car chase and headed towards it. When he finally approached where this flame and noise was coming from, he said he could see an unknown white object on the ground with 2 people standing around it. He said from the distance he was at, he couldn't make out what they looked like, but said they were relatively small people. Lonnie tried radioing the police HQ, but it was just static, so he decided to walk over to take a closer look. He says they must have spotted him as the people were now inside the craft and a loud roaring noise shook the ground as it took off, vanishing across the countryside and out of view. He said it was a smooth oval shape with no visible doors or windows, and the most interesting part is that he said some sort of unknown red insignia was printed on it. Police arrived shortly after, and also the nearby US missile range became aware of it and sent Captain Richard Holder to investigate the scene. He and several military police officers cordoned off the site, took measurements and samples of the sand, and reported that there were strange marks in the ground. Apparently, the following morning, Captain Holder received a scrambled phone call from a colonel at the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which are uniformed leaders who advise the Secretary of Defense and the President of the United States on military matters. They discussed the case, and Holder was forever wondering why such important US officials were so interested in Zamora's sighting. Not long after, Air Force officials brought in Dr. J. Allen Hynek, a respected astronomer, and he said that the physical evidence was convincing and that there was absolutely no evidence of a hoax. Lonnie Zamora died on November 2, 2009, leaving us with the mystery and the unexplained answers of his believed alien encounter. Although witnessed as a UFO, on further investigation, many believe that this next one shows the best piece of video evidence of an alien encounter. It started between 2007 and 2009, when a series of similar unidentified objects were seen over the sea in Turkey. They were described as silent, oval-looking crafts that sometimes had red or orange lights, and one man, Yalcin Yalman, a local fisherman, managed to capture a few videos of the craft with a 200 times optical zoom camera, allowing for a closer look at the UFO. The videos he captured, hoax or not, are incredible and speak for themselves. In the distance you can see a UFO with what looks like beings inside moving around, and they look like your stereotypical alien, large heads and black eyes. The videos have been studied by the Scientific and Technology Research Board of Turkey, and many UFO researchers, video experts and editors, special effects companies and professors all around the world have tried to explain them, but no one can prove that they are fake, and although a few people say it's a cruise ship in the distance, this has been disproved by many as not being a good enough explanation. Dr. Roger Lear, who is a foot surgeon and very respected UFOologist, was there during one of the sightings, and has told reporters he is confident the videos and what he saw is real evidence of alien beings. The fact the man who filmed these videos was with many witnesses during filming, who all back up the claim of what they saw, definitely makes this an interesting case. And also the fact that the videos have been proven by a ton of researchers and experts to be 100% genuine, is said that there definitely was something unidentified captured over those years. And although that does not mean it was an alien craft, it's still yet to be confirmed. So, that's 5 believed extraterrestrial encounters. I am in no way saying these stories are real or not, and everyone should make up their own decisions. Some deny the existence of aliens, some believe in them but do not think they have visited Earth, and others believe they have visited and have been returning for years. One more thing, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel, shared, liked and commented on my videos, and allowed me to be where I am today. Without you all, I wouldn't be able to do any of this, and I want it to be sort of a motivator to everyone that if you want something in life you can get it, just work at it and enjoy the journey. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and see you next week for a creepy one, 5 terrifying paranormal photographs.